Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope wherever you guys may be across this nation or across this world, you are having a fantastic Tuesday. We are off and running here with Outkick the Show. Much to get to. We got LeBron and the Lakers collapsing. We've got Zion out tonight versus Wake Forest. Is Duke trying to hide the fact that he's not going to return and play basketball this year? We got SEC basketball, the race for the number one seed still alive. LSU still alive. Kentucky still alive. Tennessee, 2 of the 3 playing tonight. Nick Fitzpatrick and Trace McSorley are asked to change positions as quarterbacks at the NFL Combine, and I bet most of you are hearing about it for the first time right now. Adidas reps sentenced to prison for helping to buy the services of college basketball players, and Kellen Winslow with some of the weirdest post-NFL arrest details you have ever heard. Last night, LeBron and the Lakers with an unmitigated disaster on behalf of the NBA and on behalf of the Lakers. Fun facts for you. The Lakers are 4-23 in their last 27 games against the Clippers, a team they play in their own building. LeBron, I agree with you, JG. LeBron is no longer the best player in the NBA. Every game comes with another moment of viral disinterest from LeBron James. The ball's rolling up the court, and he picks it up and shoots a 3 like it's a backyard pickup game. Also, on top of that, as if that weren't crazy enough, Kyle Kuzma is shoving him out to cover a man in a wide open, otherwise 3-point shot. This is an ugly decline for LeBron James, but it's an uglier decline for the NBA. Right now, do you know who is curled up in the fetal position, weeping silently? It is the Turner and ESPN executives who gave the NBA over $1 billion. The ratings have tanked this year, as I told you back in October they would, with LeBron James moving out to the West Coast, and the playoff ratings are going to be an unmitigated disaster as well. That's because, as I've been telling you, despite all the cheerleading from the NBA media, the NBA doesn't have a league, it has a player. LeBron James is like a Marvel franchise for the NBA. What I mean by that is, every time LeBron James comes out with a new season, it's like a new Marvel movie. It may not be a great movie. It may even feature a superheroine who is saying, I don't like white people. I don't even care if white men like this movie, which is what this Brie Larson chick said about the new Captain Marvel movie, which sometimes I just see these things and I'm just like, are you kidding me? If you said that about any other race or gender, people would lose their minds. But you say it about white men, it's permissible. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. But when you actually break down LeBron James, he is what Hollywood loves. Every season with LeBron James offers you the 2 things that lead to success. Something new, it's a new year, anything can happen. But also something familiar, all right? Something new meets something familiar. That's LeBron James every year. And for the last 8 years, even though his teams have not necessarily been that great, and even though they've gotten waxed once they got to the conference finals, they've at least offered up the potential of being able to beat the Warriors. That's not going to happen anymore. ESPN and Turner are in a disaster mode right now. They are scrambling because nobody is going to watch the NBA playoffs without LeBron James. The Warriors against the Clippers is a 0. It's an NBA TV schedule game that nobody actually watches. The Warriors against the Lakers, even if it's not a great series, a lot of people watch it. This is a messy, messy situation. I think the NBA is now going to reap what it sows. Also, in conjunction with Adam Silver saying the players are too active on social media, I'm waiting for intelligent people to start to point out that social media might be hindering the overall brand of the NBA because it's leading players to be unhappy, to not try their best. I'm close to swearing off regular season NBA betting because you just have no idea what kind of effort you're actually going to get from teams or players on any given night in the NBA. If somebody loses in college football or the NFL or in college basketball once you get to March, it's usually not because they aren't interested at all in playing the game. It's just because somebody else played better. Last night, the Bucks lost by 9 to the Phoenix Suns. You can't tell me that's anything other than the Bucks just being completely uninterested in playing in that game. That's all it was. And if you were unfortunate enough to have the Bucks as part of a money line parlay like I was, it wasn't that you were wrong. It was just that the team didn't show up and actually play. And that is, I think, a huge mess for the NBA. So we start there, LeBron in trouble. Zion Williamson, I got a theory for you. I got a theory for you on Zion Williamson. Duke is a massive favorite over Danny Manning's Wake Forest squad. Wake Forest, by the way, just hired John Curry. Good luck with that. Good luck with John Curry as your AD, who's going to have to be hiring a new coach to replace Danny Manning, okay? But Zion Williamson just announced about 10 minutes before we went live on this show that he is not going to be playing. Duke did, that Zion's not going to be playing. Why is this significant? This is the final college game of Zion Williamson's career. If they were going to bring him back for at all in the college basketball regular season, don't you think they'd bring him back and have him get 15 minutes or so of run time up and down the field, let him be introduced up and down the court, let him be introduced to all the Cameron crazies, let him come out, spend his senior day, what's effectively his senior day, the final opportunity he would have to play a game in Cameron Indoor. Instead, he's not showing up and playing. And I think the reason he's not showing up and playing, this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, I think Duke knows he's not coming back. I think this was the game that he would come back for if he was going to come back for the regular season. I don't think there's any way possible that Duke is going to bring back Zion Williamson and put him out on the floor in the first game returning from an injury against UNC on the road in Chapel Hill. I just don't buy that. Maybe this is what they are going to do. Maybe what they're going to do is bring him back for the ACC basketball tournament. But if you're worried about a guy's knee, why would you want him to play multiple games in multiple nights or multiple afternoons in the ACC basketball tournament? I think what's happening is here, Zion has said, I'm not going to come back. Duke knows, Coach K knows he's not going to come back, and they are trying to preserve their NCAA tournament seeding by not announcing that he's going to come back, because Duke is substantially worse so far without Zion Williamson. They're 2-2. Their defensive numbers have plummeted. Their offensive scoring has plummeted. Duke without Zion Williamson is just a top 10 team. They're probably a 2 seed right now, maybe trending towards a 3 if they lose to UNC. I think that what's going on here is Coach K is playing fast and loose with an injured player. They're not giving out any information. They're continuing to say, hey, he's going to play. And then what's going to happen is there's a good chance he never takes the floor again for Duke. Now, I don't blame him for not taking the floor again with Duke, but I think you have an obligation, if you are Duke, to announce that Zion Williamson is not going to return. And if you're not willing to do that, then they need to be severely punished by the committee. If Zion Williamson does not play again substantial minutes for Duke, then there's no way the committee can treat Duke as if they have Zion Williamson on their team. Duke can't be an overall number 1 seed. Right now, my number 1 seeds as follows. Gonzaga 1, UVA, great win, dominant win last night 2. I've got Tennessee 3, and in the 4 spot, I have got, right now, barely hanging on, I've got Duke. But if Zion's not going to come back and they lose to North Carolina, I think North Carolina can get bumped up, and I think Kentucky also has a chance. I don't believe Michigan or Michigan State are in the running. I think they've got too many bad losses in the Big Ten to be able to get there in the overall number 1 seed. So my conspiracy theory, Coach K, you think Coach K might do something like this, trying to play the field here, avoid having to announce this situation. By the way, I'm going to have to block this guy. I happen to see him saying the same thing over and over again. And if you keep saying the same thing over and over again, you're too dumb to be allowed to comment during this show. You are gone forever, okay? You don't have to be brilliant, but you do have to not be annoying. And if I happen to look over at you and see you saying the same thing stupidly over and over and over again, you're gone. So that's my conspiracy theory on Duke. Here is a story that I think should be getting a lot more attention than it is. Based on the precedent that we set last year, when Lamar Jackson was asked to work out at wide receiver, the industrial complex of far left-wing woke warriors in the sports media went crazy arguing that it was racist of Lamar Jackson to be asked to play wide receiver. This year, Nick Fitzpatrick, who started for 3 years and posted nearly 10,000 total yards of offense, was asked to play tight end. Trace McSorley, who started for 3 years for Penn State and posted massive offensive numbers, was asked to play defensive back. Do you know how many people out there, were actually raising this as an issue or even mentioning multi-year college football starters who won a lot of games? Trace McSorley won the Fiesta Bowl. He also won the Big Ten title. Nick Fitzpatrick, very successful quarterback for Mississippi State. Nick Fitzgerald. Do you know how many people out there even mention, barely, the fact that they were asked to play different positions? I haven't seen hardly anyone even mention it. That's because it doesn't fit the agenda. The NFL is a meritocracy. Regardless of your race, your gender, your ethnicity, your religion, if Bill Belichick found out that a transgender dwarf was good at playing quarterback, he would trot him out there and probably even deflate the football so his tiny little hands would be able to hold the football more effectively. It doesn't matter anything at all in the NFL about your race. And here is a point that nobody ever takes the next step to. If, in fact, the NFL were racist against people based on their position, then you would be able to take advantage of their racism and get a more advantageous team. And you know what I think we got going on right now? I think that's happened with Bill Belichick and white wide receivers. I think the reason why Bill Belichick has gone out and signed as many white receivers as he has is because he thinks they're fundamentally undervalued on the overall market because they're white. Hogan, Edelman, Wes Welker, you name a white wide receiver over the years, Bill Belichick has been willing to take a risk on them. None of them have been that highly paid in the grand scheme of things. He's found them and found opportunity because I think he saw them based on their race and thought they were undervalued. Moneyball, indeed. And that's the best way to solve problems in the country. It's not to impose quotas. It's not to ensure that every profession looks exactly like the population of America as a whole. It's to allow the marketplace, which is highly competitive, to find the best people and put them into place for jobs. This is why the whole equal pay for equal work thing is so stupid to me. Women, they've been hitting this complaint over and over again. Women make 20% less. But when you factor in childcare and leaving the labor market for years, they actually make pretty much the exact same as men. And my argument all along has been, from a pure market-based perspective, if wage inequality existed and women were paid 20% less than men, despite the fact that they're every bit as good at their jobs as men are, why wouldn't every company in America only hire women and cut their labor and employment costs by 20%? This is just a simple market-based solution if something were actually not working. If there is a huge cadre of people who are incredibly talented at doing all sorts of work that Google could otherwise employ people, and they're not taking the best people in their jobs, then somebody else will eventually beat Google, right? If Google is consistently not hiring the most qualified people to work in their employment, then somebody else will hire more qualified people and will eventually beat Google. This is a markets-based solution to things that doesn't require there to be structural sexism or structural racism or anything else. Now, and this is actually a fascinating discussion point, if Google is able to hire anyone to do its jobs and their hiring process doesn't matter, then that's a sign that they have a monopoly and they need to be regulated, right? If Google has created such a monopoly in the world of search that literally their employment hires don't matter and they can go out and hire anyone and the company continues to be as successful as they otherwise were, this is a no-brainer. It's a sign that Google or Amazon or any of these other companies have become default monopolies, that they don't have to hire the best person to be able to be the best. And maybe that's the argument. That's an intriguing argument. That's actually a smart argument the Google should be more diverse because it doesn't matter who they hire is actually an argument that Google has a monopoly. It should matter immensely who Google hires because they're in a highly competitive industry, and if they don't hire the right people, then somebody else will hire better people, and they will end up losing. But this all circles back around to my argument about selective bellyaching over racial issues and pretending that they aren't endemic across the entirety of the NFL. Tim Tebow was asked to play tight end. Matt Jones, quarterback for Arkansas, was switched to wide receiver and became a first-round pick, even though he played quarterback at Arkansas. Eric Crouch was switched to defensive back, even though he was a quarterback at Nebraska. Those are all really successful players, including Heisman Trophy winners. Scott Frost as well, Nebraska quarterback who was asked to change positions. And this is utterly crazy to me that you selectively pull out a guy like Lamar Jackson and argue that he's being treated differently than everybody else. I just want you to be aware that there's been barely a blip of acknowledgement over the fact that Nick Fitzpatrick, 3-year starter, was asked to play tight end, and 3-year starter Trace McSorley, who won the Big Ten championship and nearly got his team into the playoff, was asked to play defensive back at the Combine, and nobody even blinked over that at all. All right, pretty fascinating. Lamar put his head down and won games as a rookie. Lamar Jackson sucks, all right? If you want to buy stock in Lamar Jackson, go do it. Go buy the over total on the Baltimore Ravens. And when you do it, go watch what happened when he actually got into the playoffs. He has absolutely no chance to be a good quarterback based on what we have already seen from Lamar Jackson. If he can develop into a passing quarterback, more power to him. But so far, he hasn't been able to do anything. All right? He got to be able to make plays. He's got to be able to make plays from the pocket. All that matters in the NFL is can you convert a first down on 3rd and 8. That's ultimately it. 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, when everybody knows you have to drop back into the pocket and complete a pass in order to move the sticks. Can you do it? Lamar Jackson couldn't do it in year 1. They designed that ridiculous running offense. He's going to get blown up like RG3 did, like Tim Tebow did, and like Vince Young. He's like it's like a smaller, less athletic version of Vince Young. Ain't going to go well for him. Ain't going to go well for him at all. I'm going to block this guy because I don't like people who come in and just make arguments because, first of all, if you put your race in your name, I'm going to get blocked you if I happen to look at you and you continue to talk. I'm not interested. It's like it's such an identity politics-laden universe. If your Periscope name includes your race, you probably aren't saying anything very intelligent because you can't even look past your actual physical appearance even when you're anonymous on a Periscope feed. Secondly, Baker Mayfield, pretty phenomenal year 1, and I think he was far and away the best quarterback. Sam Darnold, second best, clearly. Josh Allen, running quarterback, doesn't look like he can do anything, and I feel the same thing about Lamar Jackson. Josh Rosen, we'll see. All right, a couple of other things here that I want to get to. Not the kind of guy to brag or draw attention to myself, but we took the Wonderlic on Lock It In, and I got a 44. Out of a 50, that's the 99-point-something percentile. So I'd encourage you guys, footballiq.com, I think is the website if you want to go take the Wonderlic yourself. It'll give you a little bit more appreciation for the Wonderlic in general, right? Go take it. Vince Young got a 6. You'll be like, how in the world is it possible to get a 6 in that process? All right, Adidas. Did you guys pay attention to this? The Adidas reps got sentenced in New York City today. Adidas put they got, I think 2 of the guys got 9 months. 1 of the guy got 6 months. It's a big story. And I think it's been undercovered. I think this jury got this case completely wrong. Okay? I think the federal government got this case completely wrong. They argued that there was a fraud perpetrated upon universities by players being paid to go play basketball for them. The fraud was that somehow made them ineligible, but they only found out that it made them ineligible because of this investigation. I think this is a real mess that we have created now with the federal government and the FBI investigating whether or not players were being paid. essentially what that jury did. And juries have a lot of power, and we have to respect their verdicts. But sometimes juries can get things wrong, and certainly they can set the wrong precedent. Effectively, what that jury did was codify NCAA rules and say these are laws. And that if you violate an NCAA rule and the government decides to prosecute you under federal statutes, you can be sentenced to prison, which is what just happened with these Adidas executives. Now, there's a second trial coming up. And if you're not paying attention to this story, 2 college basketball coaches have been subpoenaed and will have to go under oath and actually testify. LSU's Will Wade and Arizona's Sean Miller. This has the potential to be a total mess for college basketball, because it's one thing to lie to an NCAA investigator. It's another thing to get on the stand and have to swear under oath that you were going to tell the truth. They may take the fifth to avoid incriminating themselves. This is a delicate dance. I'm not even sure how it's all going to be resolved, but I am fascinated to see come April what's going to happen with these situations. It would not surprise me if Will Wade and Sean Miller both end up losing their jobs, which would be ironic because Will Wade has had a lot of success this year at LSU. We have a 3-team race for the SEC championship tonight. Kentucky is at Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss +5. Show up if you're down in Oxford. Rebels, I need you loud because I got you +5. And then I've got Mississippi State +8 at Tennessee. I think Mississippi State's going to keep it close. I think that's going to be a good game, 2 tonight in the SEC. Tomorrow, LSU is at Florida. Early preview, I think Florida wins that game outright. All right, this story is unbelievable. When I saw this, I was like, are you kidding me? This can't possibly be real. I saw this and my mind almost exploded. We've had a lot of crazy arrests over the years. A lot of wild arrests in the world of athletics. Have you heard about Kellen Winslow? Remember, Jamel Hill said that Kellen Winslow was being stereotyped because he was black when he was arrested, and it turned out that he had been raping women, allegedly. What's wild about this is former NFL tight end Kellen Winslow has been jailed without bail after he allegedly performed lewd actions in front of a 77-year-old woman at a California California gym. Winslow is accused of touching himself in front of the 77-year-old woman and touching the woman on her arm and foot in a hot tub in separate incidents 9 days apart. Kellen Winslow, the soldier, putting a move on a 77-year-old woman at the gym. He's facing misdemeanor charges of lewd conduct, battery of an elder, and willful cruelty to an elder. He'd been on a house arrest stemming from charges that included kidnapping and rape from an alleged March of 2018 crime spree. He's pleaded not guilty to that. He faces life in prison, spent 10 years in the NFL. He is a soldier, and evidently he loves old women. This is a wild and creepy story. All right, I love all of you. I appreciate the time you spend with this show. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Reminder, go to mybookie.net. Put in the code Clay50. You get a 50% sign-up bonus. I'll be on Lock It in, let's see, 40 minutes on FS1. Kisses to all of you. This has been Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I love everything about the Game of Thrones trailer. I will talk about it tomorrow after I've had more time to dissect it, by the way. April 14th. Can't get here soon enough. Love you. Kisses. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. Love you. Thank you, Facebook. See y'all.